The VP mocked me for washing his windows. He didn't know I made $2 million a year. I was hanging 50 stories in the air, secured by a harness, scrubbing bird poop off a window. Inside the glass, sitting in an air-conditioned office, was Greg. Greg was a vice president at a major investment bank. He was wearing a $3,000 suit. He tapped on the glass and pointed at a spot I missed, laughing to his colleagues. He mouthed the words, "Stay in school, kids." He thought I was a loser. He thought I was risking my life for minimum wage while he ruled the world. Greg didn't know the math. He made $300,000 a year, but he worked 80 hours a week and was drowning in debt to maintain his image. I charged $5,000 to clean this one building. It took my team 2 days, and I had contracts for 50 other buildings in the city. My business, Clearview Commercial, generated $2 million in net profit last year. I didn't wash windows because I had to. I washed them because I liked the view, and I liked checking on my employees. 6 months later, the recession hit. The bank laid off 20% of its workforce. Greg was escorted out of the building by security holding a cardboard box. He looked up and saw me. I wasn't on the scaffold this time. I was getting into my Ferrari. He asked me for a job. I told him to grab a squeegee. Here is the story of why boring businesses make the most money and why the guy in the suit is often poorer than the guy in the work boots.
My name is Sam. 10 years ago, I dropped out of college. My parents were devastated. They wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor. They wanted me to have a respectable job. Instead, I bought a bucket, a squeegee, and a ladder. I started knocking on doors in strip malls asking to clean their windows for $20. It was humiliating at first. My friends from high school would drive by and pretend not to see me. One of those friends was Preg. Greg was the golden boy. Straight A student, Ivy League degree. He got hired by a Wall Street firm right out of school. Whenever we met at parties, Greg would make passive-aggressive comments. "Hey Sam, my windshield is dirty. Can you handle that for me?" He defined success by his job title. I defined success by my profit and loss statement. What Greg didn't see was the scale. By year 2, I wasn't cleaning windows anymore. I hired 2 guys to do it. By year 5, I had 5 trucks. I moved from strip malls to residential homes. By year 8, I landed my first skyscraper contract. Commercial contracts are the holy grail. They are recurring revenue. A skyscraper doesn't pay you once. They sign a contract for 3 years to be cleaned every month. It is boring, it is dirty, and it is incredibly profitable. I kept my expenses low. I wore jeans and t-shirts. I invested my profits back into equipment and marketing. I bought a small house in cash. I had 0 debt. Greg, on the other hand, was living the corporate dream. He bought a penthouse condo with a massive mortgage. He leased a luxury car. He spent $500 a weekend on drinks. He was trapped in the golden handcuffs. He couldn't quit his job because his lifestyle was too expensive. He had to work 80 hours a week just to pay the interest on his debt. One day, I was supervising a job at Greg's building. I was in the lobby talking to the building manager about renewing our $100,000 annual contract. Greg walked by. He didn't see me talking to the manager. He just saw me in my work boots. "Sam," he laughed, "still doing this? Man, I can get you an interview in the mailroom if you need a steady paycheck." I smiled. "I'm good, Greg. Just checking on my accounts." "Suit yourself," he said, checking his Rolex. "Time is money." He walked into the elevator. He didn't know that I made more from cleaning his office windows than he made sitting behind them.
In the corporate world, you are only as good as your last quarter. Greg didn't realize this. He thought he was indispensable. Then the market turned. Interest rates spiked, deal flow dried up. The bank decided to trim the fat. I heard about it from the building manager. "It's a bloodbath upstairs," the manager told me. "They're firing the entire mergers and acquisitions division."
I was on site that day, inspecting the suspended scaffolds. It was raining. I saw Greg walking out of the lobby. He wasn't walking with his usual swagger. He was carrying a box of personal items. His security badge had been taken. He stood under the awning, waiting for an Uber. He looked lost. I walked over to him. "Rough day?" Greg looked at me. His eyes were red. "They fired me, Sam. 10 years. I gave him 10 years of my life. I missed my sister's wedding for a deal. I worked weekends, and they just let me go via email." "I'm sorry, Greg," I said. "Do you have savings?" Greg laughed bitterly. "Savings? I have a $10,000 a month mortgage. I have alimony. I have car payments. I live paycheck to paycheck, Sam. I'm ruined." This is the fragility of the high-income employee. They have a high ceiling, but no floor. If the job goes, everything goes. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "I don't know," he said. "The whole industry is freezing hiring. I'm qualified to be a VP, but nobody needs VPs right now." "Well," I said, "if you need work, I'm hiring." Greg looked at my dirty work boots. He looked at his Italian suit. The old arrogance flared up for a second. "Work for you?" he sneered. "Washing windows? I have a master's degree in finance, Sam. I'm not going to be a janitor." "I wasn't offering you a janitor job," I said, "but suit yourself." His Uber arrived. He got in and drove away to a life he could no longer afford. 3 months passed. I watched Greg's decline from a distance via LinkedIn. Month 1, open to work looking for VP roles. Month 2, consultant looking for opportunities. Month 3, silence. Then I saw his condo listed for foreclosure. The golden handcuffs had turned into real shackles. He was drowning. Meanwhile, my business was booming. Dirty windows don't care about the economy. In fact, during a recession, companies want to maintain their appearance to look stable. My contracts were rock solid. I decided to expand. I bought a competitor. I now had 100 employees and a fleet of 20 vans. I needed someone to manage the finances, someone who understood numbers, even if he was a bit arrogant. I decided to give Greg one more chance, not because he was my friend, but because I knew he was desperate, and desperate people work hard.
2 weeks later, Greg called me. He didn't ask for a job this time. He asked for a meeting. I told him to meet me at my headquarters. It was a 10,000 square foot warehouse in the industrial zone. When Greg pulled up in his leased Mercedes, which he was about to lose, he looked confused. He expected to see a janitor's closet. Instead, he saw a hive of activity. 20 branded vans were being loaded with equipment. A dispatch team was on headsets coordinating routes. The inventory room was stacked floor to ceiling with supplies. Greg walked into my office. It was a glass box overlooking the warehouse floor. "I didn't know," Greg said, looking down at the operation. "I thought you just owned a bucket." "It's a logistics company, Greg," I said. "We manage 400 contracts a week. We have insurance, payroll, fleet maintenance, and supply chains. It's a machine." Greg sat down. He looked humble for the first time in his life. "I need help, Sam. The bank is foreclosing on my condo next week. I've applied to 50 jobs. Nobody is hiring. I'm broke." "I know," I said, "and I have a job for you. But it's not the job you want." Greg's eyes lit up. "CFO? Controller?" "No," I said. "You start in the field. You spend 2 weeks on a truck. You learn how to mix the solution. You learn how to use a squeegee. You learn how to talk to customers." "You want me to wash windows?" Greg asked, offended. "I want you to understand the product," I explained. "You can't manage the money if you don't understand how we make it. If you survive 2 weeks on the ladder without complaining, then we can talk about the finance department. The pay is $20 an hour." $20 an hour. Greg used to make that in a minute. He looked at the door. He wanted to leave, but then he thought about his mortgage. He thought about his empty fridge. "Okay," Greg whispered. "When do I start?" "Put on this vest," I said. "Truck number 4 is leaving in 10 minutes." The next 2 weeks were brutal for Greg. He had soft hands. He had never done manual labor in his life. He came back every evening sunburned, sore, and covered in soap. The other guys made fun of him. They called him Wall Street. But to his credit, he didn't quit. He showed up on time. He learned the technique. On the last day of his probation, I found him in the break room. He wasn't eating lunch. He was looking at a stack of invoices on the table with a red pen. "What are you doing?" I asked. Greg looked up. "Sam, your route planning is inefficient. I've been tracking the mileage on truck 4. We are backtracking 20 miles a day because we aren't grouping clients by zip code properly, and your chemical supplier is overcharging you by 15% compared to market rates. I checked the commodities index." He handed me a napkin covered in math. "If you restructure the routes and renegotiate the supply contract," Greg said, pointing at the numbers, "you save $12,000 a month. That is $144,000 a year in pure bottom-line profit." I looked at the napkin. He was right. I'd been so busy growing the business that I hadn't optimized it. "You missed a spot on the window today, Greg," I said. Greg looked down. "I know, I'm not a good window washer, Sam." "No, you aren't," I smiled. "But you are a hell of a CFO. Get out of that vest. Put on a suit. Your office is next to mine." We made a deal. Base salary plus a percentage of the savings he generated. Greg dove into my books like a shark. He cut waste. He automated our billing. He set up a tax strategy that saved me 6 figures. He realized that a boring business like cleaning had 40% profit margins, whereas his old glamorous bank operated on razor-thin spreads. "I was blind," Greg told me one night as we looked at the quarterly report. "I spent my life chasing status, but this is real money. This is scalable." "It's dirty work," I said. "It's beautiful," Greg corrected.
A year later, we walked into the headquarters of a competitor. It was a national cleaning franchise that was struggling with debt. Greg led the meeting. He was wearing a suit again, but he wasn't arrogant. He was sharp. He picked apart their balance sheet. He pointed out their inefficiencies. "We will buy you out," Greg said. "Cash." The owners agreed. With that deal, Clearview Commercial became the largest privately owned facility maintenance company in the state. As we walked out of the meeting, Greg stopped. He looked at his reflection in the glass door of the building. It was clean, spotless. "You missed a spot," I joked. Greg laughed. "Actually, I checked the schedule. Truck number 6 cleaned this building this morning. They did a good job." Greg eventually bought his condo back from the bank, but he didn't buy another Porsche. He bought a Ford F-150. He said it was more practical for site visits. He learned the most important lesson of wealth. Don't despise the dirty work. The world is full of people who want to sit in air-conditioned offices and send emails. That market is saturated. But the market for people who solve real messy problems, that market is wide open. If you are young and looking for a career, don't just look at the tech giants. Look at the plumbing companies. Look at the waste management firms. Look at the window washers. There is gold in the dirt if you are willing to get your hands dirty to find it. Thanks for watching. If you want to see the spreadsheet Greg built to optimize our routes and save thousands, I've linked a template in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about building wealth in unexpected places.